Good evening. Welcome to Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for December 4th, 2025. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. The commissioners who are present for this evening's meeting are at City Hall, and I don't think we have anybody on Zoom. We also have staff from the city attorneys and the city's clerk's office, as well as the city's planning department. If you're joining us on Zoom this evening, we can see that you are here. You may observe the meeting, however, your ability to be seen on screen and talk will be muted. During the public testimony portion of the meeting, you'll be unmuted and then be able to comment. Please note we cannot take questions until the public testimony portion of the meeting. If you have a process question during the meeting, please email cityclerk@meridiancity.org and they will reply as quickly as possible. If you simply want to watch the meeting, we encourage you to watch this streaming on the city's YouTube channel. You can access it at meridiancity.org/live. With that, let's begin with roll call. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Perot,
Here.
Commissioner Rest,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Garrett,
Here.
Commissioner Stoll,
Here.
Chairperson Lorcher.
Here. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. There are no changes in tonight's agenda. Please note that item number 2, Lofty Creek Park, has withdrawn their application. So if there's anyone here tonight to testify for this application, we will not be taking public testimony this evening. Could I get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which include to approve minutes from the November 12th Planning and Zoning meeting. Could I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and second to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 on the agenda, I am going to motion that the commission accept the withdrawal of the application of Lofty Creek Park Live Work, application number H 2025-0020, and that the public hearing be vacated.
Second.
It's been moved and second to vacate Lofty Creek Park Live and Work. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 on the agenda is item number H 2025-0016 for Farrington Heights subdivision at Pine and Atkins for a rezone preliminary plat and development agreement modification.
And Madam Chair, just for the record and for the commissioner's benefit, so this is a project that the commission has considered before. You had a public hearing, you deliberated, and you reached a decision, which you forwarded to the city council. When it went to the city council, it was remanded back to this commission and the applicant also has made some significant or substantive changes to the application. So I just wanted to mention that to the extent any of the commissioners did not participate in the previous hearing that took place on this some months ago, that's perfectly fine because this is considered to be a brand new hearing. It's essentially a new application that's been revised. It's been published as a new hearing and we'll have a new record for this part of the process. So whether you participated previously or not is not relevant tonight. You're welcome to participate in these proceedings tonight.
So before we go further, my notes got kind of jumbled here, but I'd like to explain the public hearing process for those of you in chambers and on Zoom. Staff will begin their report with findings on how the item adheres to our comprehensive plan and our unified development code. After staff has made their presentation, the applicant will come forward to present their case and staff's comment, and they will have 15 minutes to do so. After the applicant is finished, we will open the floor to public testimony. Each person will only be called once during public testimony. The clerks will call the names individually of those who have signed up on our website, or if in chambers, you may come to the microphone, or if on Zoom, you will be unmuted. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to address the commission. If you've previously sent pictures or a presentation at the meeting, it will be displayed on screen and our clerk will help you run the presentation. If you have established that you're speaking on behalf of a larger group like an HOA, where others on that group will allow you to speak on their behalf, you'll be given 10 minutes. After all those who have signed up in advance, we will invite any others that wish to testify. If you wish to speak on a topic, you may come forward in chambers, or if on Zoom, you can raise the hand button. And if you're on the telephone, please press *9 and wait for your name to be called. If you're listening on multiple devices, such as a computer and a phone, please be sure to mute those extra devices so we don't experience feedback. When you're finished, if the commission does not have any questions for you, you will return to your seat in chambers or be muted on Zoom and no longer have the ability to speak. And please remember, we will not call on you a second time. After all the testimony has been heard, the applicant will be given another 10 minutes to come back and respond. When the applicant has finished responding to questions and concern, we will close the public hearing and the commissioners will have an opportunity to discuss and hopefully make final recommendations or recommendations to City Council as needed. So with that, we will start with the staff report for Farrington Heights subdivision.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Next item on the agenda is the rezone preliminary plat and development agreement modification for Farrington Heights. So the applicant is requesting a rezone of 2.9 acres of the 4.68 acres of land from the R4 zoning district to the R15 zoning district and leave the remaining 1.78 acres as the R4 zoning district. A preliminary plat consisting of 25 building lots and 8 common lots and a new development agreement to replace the current development agreement. The site is generally located at the northwest corner of Pine Avenue and Atkins Avenue. As shown on the screen, the existing zoning is R4 and the flume designation is medium density residential. The subject properties were annexed in 2000 as a part of the Farrington Opal application. The zoning granted at the time of annexation was the R4 zoning district. With the annexation approval, the properties were subject to a development agreement that restricted the property to adding 1 additional home on the 4.68 acres of land. The existing DA that is proposed would replace the new DA if approved. In addition, this application was also previously heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 7th of 2025 and was recommended for denial to City Council. Since the hearing, the applicant was remanded back to the Planning and Zoning Commission by City Council. And the reasons for denial the reasons for the previous denial by the Planning and Zoning Commission were due to a lack of open space, a lack of transition between the proposed 2-story homes and the existing single-story homes, and the zoning change from R4 to R15 being too abrupt. The proposed subdivision this time around is at a gross density of 5.348 units per acre, which is consistent with the medium density designation, flume designation of 3 to 8 units per acre. The surrounding landscape, this is the current and the previous, just so you guys can get a little look. They did lose 5 lots on the outer boundary of the site, so they went down from 33 building lots, or yes, 30 building lots, I apologize, to 25 building lots, including keeping the 3 existing homes that are on the southern portion of the site. So the surrounding landscape consists of single-family detached homes to the northeast and west, while to the south is Pine Avenue. The average density for a 1-mile radius is 6.1 units per acre, which is higher than the 5.34 units per acre the applicant is proposing. Single-family detached dwellings are listed as a principally permitted use in the R15 and R4 zoning districts. The applicant is proposing to keep the 3 existing homes on the southern portion, as I previously mentioned. And one of the largest concerns of the neighboring residents was the transition from existing single-story homes to the proposed 2-story homes. The applicant has indicated they do not believe single-story homes will be financially feasible due to the proposed lot sizes. And the applicant has also indicated that the individual builders will make the final decision on whether homes will be 1 or 2 stories. This did raise some concerns with staff. And as a result of this, we did have some conversations with the applicant and did encourage them to talk with the neighbors, to get them in contact with some of the neighbors to have another meeting prior to this meeting. I think the applicant will go over some of how that went. But as a result of that, staff is recommending the building heights don't exceed 28 feet, which typically in the R15 and R4 and R8 zoning districts would be 35 feet. And that windows be placed on the rear facades oriented to promote privacy for the existing residents. And I think the applicant will cover kind of their proposal for those windows on that rear facade. But however, staff is asking the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council to carefully determine whether the changes are adequate transition to the existing homes.
Would the applicant like to come forward?
Hold on, Maria, almost done.
Oh,
Sorry.
we're done.
So since the previous hearing, the applicant did revise their common open space because that was a reason for denial. Let's see if I get this to work again. There we go. So they did increase the amount of open space to 10.9% of the development, with 7.5% of it being designated as usable open space. In addition to this, they are proposing a play area and picnic area in Lot 14, Block 1, right on my cursor. So open space is not a requirement for this property because it is below 5 acres. So it's not a UDC requirement. However, staff wanted to see some open space here with this application and the original application due to there really no being regional park or neighborhood park in the area. So having place for people to recreate, especially with the lot sizes, was important. Access to the property is proposed off of North Adkins Avenue, a local roadway on the eastern portion of the site. This local road is shared drive between the proposed subdivision and the existing subdivision to the east and north. The applicant is proposing 2 accesses off North Adkins with a common drive accessing 3 properties on the southern portion of the site and 3 properties on the northern portion of the site. The proposed design includes variations of 1- and 2-story homes. Through their elevations, they've submitted 1- and 2-story homes, each featuring a 2-car garage. These elevations showcase a range of architectural styles, designs, elements, including lap siding, neutral color accents, brick and stone veneer, varied roof profiles, and different home styles. Review confirms that these elevations do adhere to the city's architectural standards manual. Staff is recommending approval with the new development agreement of this application. And we have received written testimony from Don Flayton, Stephanie John, Rick Bradley, Bob Flayton, Mary Lee Turner, Sean Freeman, and Brian Turner. The neighbors providing testimony have concerns with increased traffic in the area, that the transition from the proposed development to the existing homes, primarily the 2-story to the single-story, the density being too high, and increases in crime, littering, loitering, and noise. And I'll stand for any questions at this time.
Would the applicant like to come forward?
Got it, Nick? Okay. No, it's moving though. It's like sliding down. Oh, perfect. Can I use the arrows here to, okay. Madam Chair, members of the commission, hello and good evening. For the record, my name is Sabrina Durchie, and I am here on behalf of the applicant. My business address is 5179 South Boven Avenue, Boise, Idaho 83716. And this evening, I am so excited to present to you Farrington Heights subdivision. So first, On August 7th, this year, the application was previously before you for your consideration. During the hearing, the commission expressed several key concerns specifically related to the transition with the surrounding neighborhood, the lack of usable open space, and the zoning transition. Following the meeting, the applicant team went back to thoughtfully reevaluated the plan to directly address the feedback you provided. On the slide, you'll see the original layout, which Nick had mentioned, included 30 lots, and alongside the other side is the revised plan, which now reduces the perimeter lots to 5, bringing our grand total to 25 lots. This reduction allowed us not only to soften the project's interface with the surrounding neighbors, but also to expand and enhance the usable open space, which I will highlight in more detail shortly. We feel these revisions directly respond to and effectively mitigate the concerns raised during the August hearing, particularly regarding neighborhood transition and overall quality of space within the subdivision. So with the updated layout, we are requesting a portion of the site to be rezoned, a preliminary plat, and a development agreement modification. The changes show 22 new single-family homes, 8 common lots, and 3 existing homes that are highlighted in white. Our gross density will be 5.34 units per acre, and our residential lot sizes will be ranging from a little bit over 3,000 square feet to 9,570. So, with these changes, I would now like to reintroduce you to Farrington Heights. Farrington Heights has been envisioned as a welcoming, modern, and thoughtfully planned community that future residents will be proud to call home. In shaping and designing the overall theme, we layered in clean, contemporary elements inspired by the proposed home elevations. Our goal was to create an infill project that feels both timeless and balanced, modern in character, and warm and inviting. The site design emphasizes a contemporary aesthetic with a strong emphasis on community, interaction, and outdoor living. These features work together to create a family-friendly environment that supports everyday livability while still providing moments of shared connection and comfort. So let me show you our front entrance. This is our primary entrance on. You can see the monumentation for Farrington Heights. This concept reinforces the modern identity of the neighborhood and establishes a clear, attractive arrival experience as people enter and recognize the community. With this application, we are requesting a portion of the site to be rezoned to R15. This request is not being made to increase the overall density of the project. Instead, the purpose of the R15 designation is to provide a little flexibility, which is needed to meet the zoning standards that is often challenging within infill environments. As many of you noted during the previous hearing for this application, infill development can be very complex. And the R15 zone helps us address those complexities by allowing us to create a well-designed, functional, and cohesive neighborhood while maintaining the reduced lot count and overall project vision. We believe this request of the R15 directly supports the creation of a high-quality infill community. So, to better understand how the site fits into the broader area, let's look at the surrounding context in more detail. To the north, we have phases 4 through 7 of Danbury Fair subdivision. These lots were platted back in 1994 through 1996. And then we have an enclaved county parcel directly north of the site. To the east, we have Ma's Addition, number 1 and 2. That was platted back in 1993. And to the south, we have Pine Avenue. Then directly south of Pine is the industrial commercial area that includes the weed and pest control campus. And to the west, we have phases 1 and 3 of Danbury, platted in 92 and 93. And then west of that is Avery subdivision, which was recently platted in 2019. So what I'm trying to highlight here is nearly all of the surrounding subdivisions were built in the early to mid 1990s, meaning this parcel has been remained open, undeveloped field for approximately 30 years. So because of this land has been vacant for so long, the surrounding homes have never had abutting neighbors. And naturally, this creates a more challenging transition for the existing neighborhood as residents are adjusting to the idea of development occurring next to them for the first time since their homes have been built. We recognize this, and want to be sensitive to those impacts. So on the next slides, I'm going to outline specific mitigation measures we've incorporated to create a respectful, well-designed transition that considers the neighbors' longstanding expectations and character for the area. First, I would like to note before I start, when I took over the project in the end of October, I immediately reached out to Nick, to the city, because I know he had been in correspondence with the neighbors. And during our meeting, I was like, Nick, can I have the neighbors' numbers? And he was like, I would prefer if I give them your information since that's their personal information, which I completely understood. And so Nick had my information and was communicating, but the only neighbor that did reach out to me was Stephanie John. And I conducted an on-site meeting with Stephanie and her family on November 11th. And they live directly north at 1111 North Atkins. And they're the county parcel that has been referenced in the staff report. So we reviewed the placement, and you can see where that arrow's at. That's really their front living area and their front door. It's a little deceiving because you think it would be off of Atkins. But as Stephanie explained, we had conversations. And so I went back to the applicant and we discussed, and we made that lot a little wider so that it could accommodate a single family, single level. And so we're happy to make this change and happy to have it included as a condition of approval that restricts Lot 2, Block 1 as a single level. So we are in full agreement with the staff report's recommendations to limit the height of the two-story buildings to 28 feet. And additionally, we will incorporate transom windows on the rear elevations of the second floor that are adjacent to the existing homes. And you can kind of see in these pictures where the windows are high enough, people can't see out, so it protects their privacy, but it also allows light into the buildings, so it's not dark for the homes. We feel that it's also important to note that the two-story homes are already permitted in all of your residential zones. And we're not asking for any exceptions, any variances. So we feel that with the window placement, if we do have 2 stories at those locations, provides the standards for privacy that the neighbors are wanting. And we're also willing to commit to 1 additional tree in each of the lots' backyards for future mitigation for the neighbors as well. And I have updated the landscape plan to reflect those changes. So during our previous hearing, I'm not sure which commissioner it was, but someone requested that we do some side profile visuals for you to see. So unfortunately, we did not have those at the time, but we have selected a few homes and I have some for you to review this evening. So first, we're looking at 1054 North Stonehenge. This is a corner lot and the proposed home will abut the existing home kind of at an angle. There's a total of 29.6 feet from the edge of the house to the back of the property line with a rear setback of R15 at 12 feet on our side. This will be a total of 41.6 feet between buildings. Just next door to the last house is 1042 North Stonehenge. The home adjacent to the corner lot, and it has a total of 27.2 feet separation. We also have an existing tree that's buffering along the property line that we're going to try to keep to help with privacy mitigation. And this will make the separation a total of 39.2 feet between buildings. And the last home we're looking at is 1018 North Stonehenge. This home has a much deeper backyard with a total of 53 feet to the back of their fence line. This will give us a total of 65 feet in total between buildings. And we feel that the proposed window placement, the overall separation between the buildings provides sufficient mitigation to ensure privacy for the adjacent neighbors. Next, let's talk about open space. So based on comments during our last hearing, we understood that open space was very important. After reworking the layout and expanding the open space, we have been able to design a total of 0.51 acres at 11%. And this slide shows the landscaped areas all highlighted in green. For our qualified open space, our community is at 0.35 acres at 7.5% and will include 2 amenities for our community. Pathway connectivity and walkability is also a priority within our community. Blue will depict all of our community sidewalks. Orange depicts our pathways that connect from the sidewalk to our amenity area. And pink illustrates our 10-foot multi-use pathway that provides connection along East Pine Avenue. So we have some newer elevations that we're planning to showcase for Farrington. These conceptual elevations are modern, an architectural character. The homes feature clean roof lines, a mix of contemporary gables and shed roofs, and a blend of warm wood-toned siding with crisp contrasting accents. Window placement provides abundant natural light, while the overall design reflects a fresh, modern aesthetic. And for the amenities, our community's main amenity area for Farrington is designed to create a welcoming and functional outdoor environment. The central open space features a modern shaded pavilion with seating, a natural play area with logs and boulders, and a thoughtfully landscaped edges that blend privacy and visual interest. Expansive lawn areas provide flexible space for recreation, gatherings, and everyday outdoor enjoyment, enhancing the neighborhood's overall livability. One of the items one of the commissioners emphasized during our August hearing was the importance of locating the play area away from the road. And taking that into consideration, we intentionally position the tot lot and picnic area in this interior corner of the site to provide additional separation and a safer area for children and families. We feel the amenities being tucked away offer protection and privacy for the future residents to be able to gather and enjoy. So to quickly summarize, we feel that Farrington Heights is a well-designed, high-quality community designed to offer a balanced blend of modern livability. Situated in the heart of Meridian, this enclave parcel is located near major commercial and employment hubs and provides a well-rounded selection of mid-density housing options to meet the standards of the growing population. The City of Meridian's comprehensive plan encourages infill development that delivers a diversity of lot sizes, housing types, and densities. Farrington Heights aligns with this vision by introducing a fresh, modern neighborhood character within an established area, offering new housing choices and a thoughtful range of densities that enhance the surrounding community. With that, I'd like to extend my thanks to Nick for his guidance, help, and support. Thanks, Nick. And we are in full agreement with the staff report's findings. And with that, I will thank you for your time, your thoughtful consideration, and the opportunity to represent our project to you this evening and respectively request a recommendation of approval this evening from you all. Thank you so much.
Before you walk off, commissioners, do we have any questions?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Smith?
one question on that restriction on Lot 2, Block 1, is that already in the staff report? Or is that something that we would need to add to keep that single story?
That would be something that would be new. That's correct.
Commissioner Perot?
Madam Chair, thank you. The pictures of the elevations that were provided, I just wanted to understand what the side setbacks are. They look very close together,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioner Perot, they are with the R15, that's that kind of flexibility we're needing for the infill. It's 3 feet in between the buildings for each side, so a total of 6. Yes.
Is that for all of them or just the ones in the middle?
No, I believe that that's the zoning standard for all that will be in the R15, Madam Chair.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions before we take public comment?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Yes.
much. Madam Clerk, do we have people to testify?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have Stephanie John. And there are some photos that she would like to share as well.
Okay, if you can state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Stephanie John. My address is 1111 North Adkins Avenue, Meridian.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. So I live on that north border. My property is a rectangle, which makes one of my longest lengths across the shared border. They currently want 5 different homes. One of them, they did say, they just newly said that would be single story. The other 4 would be 2-story, 26 feet. Well, actually 28 feet. We thought it was 26, so that's inaccurate. If you look at it and look how those houses would sit, we would have no privacy at all. Just like Ms. Sturchy pointed out, that as the front of our home, that faces the field, and that's my driveway. That's how the home is. Sorry. So there is no privacy. You walk out and 4 people can look. Well, yeah, 4, because that one is single, and I will concede to that. But it gives us no privacy. Plus, we need that sunlight. Our home was built in 1909, which makes that south sun, winter sun, vital for us. Not only are those all our main living spaces, it would increase our power, our heating bill significantly. Plus, it would leave us a shadow. I'm worried about snow being stuck in that driveway space, having nowhere to go or melt, having no sun on it. I'm worried about darkness in the winter. It's a very big deal. I'm worried about the traffic, the newly approved Pine 43. I have another picture that showed the intersections. We share 2 intersections with Pine 43, one at Pine and Locust Grove and one at Shellbrook and Locust. On our side, it's called Shellbrook. On Pine 43 side, it's called State. I did send a picture with them circled. That's a big deal. Getting in and out of those, especially during high traffic times, is a problem. Adding more to that just keeps adding more to the problem. Now, I know that infill is hard. I get that. It's so hard. Pine 43, that was an infill. I think that was a great use. Unfortunately, when you are 360 degrees surrounded by existing, already built homes, sorry, that's where your property is. They have owned this for a long time. They annexed, they could have sold and maybe got this earlier, but they're doing it now. The residents in our homes have been there for an average of 17 and a half years. That means these homes are homes that people are taking and living in and raising their children in. Those are the types of homes I want them to build. I'm not saying 2-story homes aren't like that, but they don't fit the aesthetic. They're invading our space. They're taking our sunlight. She mentioned that she wants this community to have everyday livability, but she's not looking at the rest of us. That's not okay. I'm not okay with that. They need to address that. That buffer between what is existing and what they're going for is so abrupt. It's abrupt on us. We're R1.
If you can just finish up.
Sure. We are R1, making us an extreme abrupt, and that one lot being changed does not really help.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, we have Donald Flatton. And he has some photos as well.
Yes, Charlie Lane. I'll be able to view them here presumably.
Yes, Nick will.
Okay, thanks, Nick. I
We'll
appreciate
get him
it.
up. Just give it a.
I too had the understanding that the maximum roof height would be 26. It's actually 28. I think it best to just kind of read a summary of my comments, which I submitted.
So before you
And-
start,
Yeah,
we'll need your name and address for the record. And you did have pictures?
I do, yes.
Okay, so if you can give that
Owner
a
prepared, I'll just wait. for that.
moment, and we'll get that up and we can do
Yeah.
all at the same time, okay?
Don Flayton, 1111 North Adkins,
Okay.
in Meridian. So let me know, Nick, when. I think I'll see them when they come up here. Okay, and I'll comment on this, so we'll just leave it up later. I'll just read this quickly. As proposed, Fairing Heights development on North Adkins Avenue will seriously degrade the livability of 1111 North Adkins, our family residence, and that of surrounding established neighborhoods. And I'd point out on the introduction, we referred to a radius of 1 mile in density. We should really look at that radius from Locust Grove west, because that's where the homes are that are relevant. It's very high density east of that. We have been neighbors immediately to the north for over 30 years, bordering the proposed multi-story residences. Tall buildings with minimal setbacks on your property line would cast a sun shadow on the south wall of our home, including the living, dining, and family rooms. They're all south facing, occluding solar heating, direct sunlight during the winter months, and virtually eliminating privacy throughout the year. The dramatic increase in residential density would irreversibly increase noise and traffic levels in the immediate neighborhood. Before going forward, I'll make observations here. This is an illustration based on a proposed 26-foot height. It's actually 28. So this illustration you see of a two-story structure is 1.57 times the height of our structure. It would actually be 1.7. The density, even if one of those is a one-story, we've got them stacked up with 6 feet between homes, 3 to 4 homes bordering our lot. So instead of having opus, we're going to be looking, this is roughly 12 feet high. About the distance to that wall, if I step back here, our wall, we could potentially see building. I can't get you on record. Oh, you can hear me, can't you? Sorry.
If you can repeat it into the microphone, that would be
So
great.
anyway, if we could have the next picture, please. I know we're limited time.
We'll add time to it for,
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I said we could.
so don't worry, you'll have plenty
Yeah,
of.
so I just have just to kind of, I did a sun shadow picture from roughly a distance. This is just a perspective. If you were to insist on a two-story development, if we were to reverse the position of the road, it would give us, the north side is at the bottom of this. We would have the road as a buffer in addition to the setback. So we wouldn't be looking that close, but we're obviously one story is what is appropriate for the neighborhood. If we were to go forward insisting on two-story, simply move the road. So the homes bordering us would be on the south end. They would have more space. They'd be looking on an open field. And we would have a border that would also include that rec area, which the public can't enjoy, only the people moving there. So it looked real pretty in the illustration. We're going to be looking at a wall of stucco. They're going to be looking at this. So I think there's one more illustration just to give you an idea. These are 26 or 28 foot height from a distance of 40 feet. It's just an illustration from March showing you that what the sun shadow is. And that's about the same setback, 6 feet between buildings. And they're all two-story. So that's mid-afternoon in March. And that's taken from about 35 feet away from, it actually, it's over 40 feet to the two-story structure. And you still see it occluded. So my observation in summary on where time. Of course, single-story detached homes would instead be consistent with the surrounding neighborhoods. If the city were to insist on multi-story residence, however, I strongly recommend the position of the structures currently proposed be reversed 180 degrees.
Did you get a chance to express your concerns about the switching of the road to the developer? Or
No,
are you just bringing?
our
it up
only comment is right here.
Right here?
In fact, we just heard today for the first time that there might be one of the structures would be one-story bordering it looks like, but the others are still on the same density. We have no information. All I have is an illustration from February that didn't match the original plan. So we're seeing these things for the first time.
Okay.
But I mean, as originally proposed, we're looking at a wall of structures 6 feet in between the entire south border of our property, up to 28 feet high.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next person that signed up is Rick Bradley.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. If you can state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rick Bradley. I'm at 1321 East Shellbrook Drive, Meridian, Idaho, 83642. My rear property line borders the development property. My backyard is located in the northwest corner of this development. And that's particularly the one that has the shared driveway. I know the lady was talking about the rear of the houses having transoms, but that does absolutely nothing for my privacy with the side of that house facing my rear property. Privacy issues are a big concern for every resident. It's a lot different moving into a subdivision that's established with no privacy as opposed to having that privacy taken from you forcefully, which is kind of what the situation that's happening here. Setbacks, 33 feet side setbacks. You guys seriously considering that here as a city? Because I mean, everything that's going to be fire treated the way it's built. That's going to be way more expensive for the builders to build homes that way. Every resident around them's got at least 8 feet on the side. I mean, we're almost 3 times as much side setback as what they're proposing. This is Meridian. This is a city for families, to raise families, to grow and love each other. It's not to stack people on top of each other. And that's, I think, what Meridian has lost over the last 10 years. The resources in the community are going to be limited as well. I've already noticed since the development of Pine 43 that my water pressure has gone down some. And just adding more to that is going to tax, I think, the limited resources we have. Also, road access on Atkins is not adequate for more traffic. I don't know if you guys have ever been to that intersection yourselves, but any time during the day or evening, there's trucks, trailers, stuff parked on the side of the road. It is literally a 1-lane road getting in and out of there most times. So affordability, are we just trying to build more $650,000 homes in this city? Or are we actually really concerned about affordability for families? It's a lot more expensive to build a fire-rated 2-story house than it is a single story for a family. The other big issue that we are discussing is there's no access to a park. Well, instead of establishing just a little community park that they never get used, I don't know if you have them in your neighborhoods, we have them in ours, they're not really used. Why don't we make these lots slightly larger, build a little bit smaller homes on them that are single story, and actually create a yard for the family? That way you don't need a community center. You can have your own backyard to play with your friends, or your children's friends can play. Actually have a front yard. The pictures that she showed, they got like a 6x4 piece of lawn in the front yard. That is not a yard, all right? Are we building apartments or are we building houses for families? And the beginning opening speech that she had was she wanted to create a timeless community for the Meridian. Well, modern architecture is not timeless. Okay, that single slope is quickly fading and nobody's purchasing homes like that anymore. I apologize for going over, but there's lots of things that need to be addressed here carefully. I would hope you guys would consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next person is Brian Turner.
Good evening.
Good evening, and I do have some pictures I wanted to share. And while we're waiting, Brian Turner, 1345 East Shellbrook Drive. And also a comment up front. The communication for us to reach out to the applicant, we missed it. We would have certainly and gladly reached out and expressed some concerns, and that's something this process has lacked, is someone to talk to about it. All right. I clearly stayed up front. I'll get to this, what this picture is in just a moment. I would welcome 1-story homes. The comments about we're used to the space, I'm okay. I would welcome 1-story homes in this plot. My biggest concern, even with the new plan, is the 2 stories. This picture right here shows Avebury or Avery subdivision that is just west of this development, literally a block. And you can see clearly that there is a buffer between these large, very tall 2-story homes and the rest of the subdivision. And unfortunately, the west end side of this house is, like was mentioned, 3 feet from the fence line. And this is what my backyard is going to become. A great big wall of a house next to a house that takes my privacy away. Now, they said the windows would be positioned so to afford privacy, but for some reason, I lack trust in that statement. So yeah, this is my concern. This is what I will be looking at. And this is why I'm here. Another thing is, this is a picture that shows, I'm standing on Atkins Road, looking directly west across the site. And what will you notice here is what you cannot see, and that is the side of the homes that are straight across. The line of sight drawings that were shown earlier do not show the elevation change. So these homes are a good 4 or 5, 6 feet lower in elevation than this property. So you build 28 feet higher and they're going to be staring over the top of those homes. And I just don't see how that fits, 2-story homes fit into this plot of land. That's one of the main reasons. And so I see 2-story homes here is either greed is driving this, or there's a lack of foresight. And it's going to anger the neighbors for years to come. And I think there's better solution for this plot of land that would be agreeable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair, the next person is Marley Turner.
I also have pictures and I'll wait till they're up while we're waiting. My name is Marilee Turner, 1345 East Shellbrook Drive, Meridian, Idaho, 83642. Okay, my home borders the proposed subdivision of Farrington Heights. I am not opposed to land development if it is approached respectfully and thoughtfully. I propose that a respectful compromise should be reached before this development is allowed to proceed. And for your information, I was never given the contact information for Serena. And had I been, I certainly would have reached out and given my concerns. I propose that a respectful compromise should be reached before this development is allowed to proceed, that the developers have had to postpone and restructure over the course of several months indicates that this development is still far from reaching a beneficial conclusion for all of its bordering neighbors. Currently, the developer is petitioning for higher density and taller homes than is prudent for the inadequate space. I am opposed to the rezoning of this small plot from the R4 to the R15 zoning district, which is much too dense for this location. The surrounding properties are all zoned for lower density than the proposed subdivision. The developers are also expecting and planning for 2-story homes, which will be detrimental to all neighbors on all sides. With the exception of the homeowners who are selling the property, as the developers are proposing ample green space to purposely offset the impact for them and them only. While the developers may indicate with photos and words that homes are being considered, there is no plan for single-level homes except for that one bordering our neighborhood, which has been a concern for months now. In fact, according to Matthew Parks, which you can see from your records, and I quote, "The proposed lots will accommodate second-story residences in order to make financial sense." I disagree wholeheartedly. By rezoning this land and approving the current plan, the developers will be enabled to build several new dwellings with taller and denser homes than virtually all of its bordering sides in all direction. A height restriction of 20 feet is reasonable for this insufficient space. A height restriction of 28 feet, which Meridian City is considering, would be appalling to us as neighbors. Our homes have existed for nearly 30 years and we value our way of life. A development such as this will impact many families adversely every single day for decades. Please plan for buffers or green spaces on all sides of the development, which I'm showing a picture of a buffer road, which may mean putting the access road along the outskirts of the development and planning for green spaces bordering the road. I'll wait for picture number 2. 2-story homes looming over our backyards will negatively impact our ability to even remotely spend time in our yards. This is understandably very distressing to us. We would have 2 homes in our backyard like this. Another concern is traffic issues. If you can get to picture number 3, please. Even if the developers are required to widen Adkins, the intersection at Pine and Adkins will remain dangerous. The existing building located at Pine and Adkins intersection will not be removed, and this poses a danger as the intersection will remain narrow despite the required marginal widening. Please do not be neglectful, disrespectful, and careless. I hope that the developers, city planners, and architects can be resourceful and prudent as they look for beneficial solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have Patty Jeffs.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Patty Jeffs, and I live at 1416 East Shellbrook Drive. I'm down on the corner. 2 stories is not going to bother me at all. My house isn't that close. However, my friend and I go walking every morning, and we've been by the places that they just showed you the picture of the big, and honestly, that looks over Pine and there's a canal. It doesn't bother anybody. And they put in a nice parking space so an overflow of parking can park there. There is no parking space here. We go walking by other condos and things across Locust Grove, and the streets are lined with extra cars. And I just know that's going to happen here. There's no place for them to park extra cars except in the streets. And this is already a small street. We already have trouble with traffic. We talked to one person over in the other subdivision across Locust Grove, and he says, oh no, this is mostly rentals. And there were 4 young guys, nice guys, and you go around to the back and there's a double car garage. 2 of them can park there, but there's 4 people renting that house. They've got 2 more that have to go out in the street. My fear is this isn't going to be rental. Housing is so high, not family, and we're going to have cars everywhere in the streets. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next person is Cynthia Johnson.
Yeah, I live at 1050 North Atkins, which is right across the street from one of the roads that comes out of the development. And my concern mostly is parking, because the houses themselves are so close together that there's no street parking in the development at all for them. They have to use only their driveway parking. And I'm also concerned that the street's not very wide, so that I might lose my parking in front of my house, and I have 3 vehicles, so we can, 1 in the garage and 2 would have to shuffle our cars. So I really don't want to lose my street parking. And so that's one of my main concerns would be that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair, the next person is Robert Flatten.
Hello all, my name is Robert Flayton. I live at 1111 Adkins Avenue now. I've been there since I was about 8, so been there for a while. In all honesty, I'm not as well spoken as these guys. Forgive me. I had a little thing wrote out and I'm kind of just lost, especially after listening to everything that, with all due respect, the planner or whatever she has said. I will admit her examples seem pretty nice. They look great, but they leave out a lot of what there is that you're not seeing. And I don't think that's by accident. I saw her use examples of 45 feet, 60 feet. Where's our example? Because we're looking at about 25 to 30 feet. They very obviously didn't use the corner that we are discussing as being such a problem. That's by design. They're trying to not show you. Again, with all the respect, I believe planning and zoning, a big portion of why you're here is to hear the community, to work with them, to try and be fair so that people don't get steamrolled. We're here. There's more of us. Again, respectfully, please don't ignore us. I understand that the people that are going to possibly move here matter. We also matter. We should be equals on all of this. We're not asking to not have people there. We love our neighbors. We get along with all of them. We want new neighbors, but we don't want to be swept aside so that somebody else can make more money. With even that particular involvement, you think about people that go buy homes that move here, a big part of what draws money, you go up into the foothills, it's a view. You are dismantling my home if this is allowed. There's no view. You're going to walk outside and see a wall. I don't get to believe my kids are safe in the driveway anymore without people sitting there watching down on them. There's all sorts of issues when it comes to parking, when it comes to security. Survivability of our home and everyone else's is very much in jeopardy here. I wish I could somehow illustrate that, but unfortunately 3 minutes really isn't going to put that in an accurate sense for all of you. I thank you very much for allowing me to come here, but I could go on a very long time. about this. I understand it's very persuasive again to see everything that she put up, but it's just not encapsulating what it is that we've all been fighting here for months. I mean, this is so stressful for all of us to be up against this. And we quite frankly don't, again, respectfully, don't want to keep doing this to you nor us. People have a right to develop, but I would love to believe that there's an option somehow out there that can please all of us, not just a few, because those people are going to come in, they're going to build, they're going to leave. We are the people that are left there forever. We were there before. I would like to think we can be there in the long run, but quite frankly, this just seems like the stepping stone to running people out of their homes. Because anybody reasonable knows that. The person that came over there, I forgot your name, she herself explained to me that developments moved into her place right next to her, too close. And she wasn't comfortable with it. She herself did not like it. I can prove that statement was made. She knows what we are up against, but it's being minimized to you so that it can get pushed through. I don't know what to say. Please don't ignore us. We are the community and we are asking that this does not happen. I hope you understand our concerns. I can't ask you to agree with them, but maybe just try to put yourself in our shoes for just a moment. All the things you hold dear in your homes, we hold dear also. Please help us. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, the next person is Cecil Brock.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Cecile Brock. I'm the owner of the current property that we're all discussing so heatedly.
Can you list the address for the record, please?
1100 East Pine Avenue,
Okay.
Meridian. I understand that this is problematic for neighborhoods anytime people come in and try to develop. Unfortunately, it's part of life. My family's owned this property since the 40s. We had our own little commune there for a long time where we had 5 generations sitting on that property. I'm currently the 3rd generation owner. This is my family legacy. If you notice, all the names of the streets and everything are related to my family, which is neither here nor there, I guess. But I've been watching and working with the developers, and this is a beautiful project. The pictures and the thought that has gone into this has been very well thought out. And they have talked and talked. I don't think I've ever heard of as many meetings as these guys have had. There's been a sign up for like a year. I just hope that you will look at the actual plan and not, there's so many everybody's so upset about this whole thing. I don't think it would matter what we did. They don't want to do it. So I just hope that you guys will take into consideration that these planners have worked very hard from the very beginning. We've been completely in compliance. They keep making concessions. They keep changing, trying to make the community happy. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. I appreciate your time for listening to me ramble. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have Rick Saladay.
Good evening, Rick Soliday, 992 North Stonehenge Way. Madam Commissioner and all the commissioners, thank you for hearing us. I think you've heard enough complaints about all the concerns we have. The heights is the main concern. You saw from the one picture, the guy shot from across the field, you can see our roofs. I can stand in my backyard. I have a 3-foot wall, retaining wall. On top of that retaining wall, I have a 6-foot fence. Behind that 6-foot fence is Celia Brock's friends or neighbors or family have parked a trailer. It's fine. They're perfect people. We get along fine. But I see that trailer 4 feet above my fence. Now you think a trailer, this is a mobile home. It's something you pull behind your vehicle, 4 foot above my fence. Put a house there. Think that now, people. That is not going to be 4 feet above my fence. That is going to be whatever windows she's talking about. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to see their windows, their wall, their house. I realize this property needs to be developed. It's going to be developed one way or the other. But we got to have concerns. Just like the other gentleman said, we want single-story homes where people will move. These Pine 43, whatever it is they built on right off of Pine, they insisted that it have certain levels of height. They wanted it to face Pine and be all fancy and cool. They drug in probably about 20 truckloads of dirt and raised that elevation up to what these people have been showing you to the surrounding homes. It's ridiculous. All I think we all ask here, put single-story homes around the surrounding edges. You build your two-stories on the inside. On Adkins Lane, I'm sorry people on Adkins Lane, but put a two-story there. They've got a buffer of the front yard and a street. But this is a money grab way it's being planned. They're trying to push in more than they can really fit in there. And it's what's being developed all across Meridian. If you guys don't see it, I don't understand it, but they're pushing more and more in right across the street on Lucas Grove, all those apartments, 3-story high. That's great. That's on the other side. That's all a bunch of apartments. You are abutting a 35-year-old subdivision. And I'm not bragging, but I was the first resident in that subdivision before Stonehenge went all the way through. It doesn't bother me. I know we're going to get developed. I've known that for 35 years. And I respect Mrs. Brock's right to do that. But on the same note, respect our right for a lower elevation. If you want 2 stories, dig down, put a basement. There's your 2 stories. Probably cheaper right now than lumber. Anyhow, that's my concern right now, folks. Please consider that. That's an elevation issue. I know you guys have already considered it and denied it. My concern is that the city council will approve it after you've denied it. That's what happened at Pine 43. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, no one else has signed up.
Is there anybody on Zoom this evening?
Madam Chair, there is one person, they do not have their hand raised.
Is there anybody else in chambers that would like to make a public comment? Would the applicant like to come forward and address some of the concerns?
For the record, again, Sabrina Durkee. First, we would sincerely like to thank you for rehearing our case this evening. Our intent has been to clearly show the substantial improvements we made in response to your direction, specifically regarding density, neighborhood transition, and overall usable space. And we hope that these adjustments were evident during my presentation. As you all know, infill development is inherently challenging. It is, however, a priority of the mayor and the city's long-term planning goals because it represents smart growth, utilizing existing infrastructure, streets, utilities, rather than stretching services outward to the fringe. Infill strengthens neighborhoods by reinvesting areas that already have the bones to support the development. But with infill also comes change and challenges, and that can be difficult, especially for long-established neighbors who have lived next to an open field for a long time. One thing has been clear: meaningful compromise is necessary, and we believe that the mitigation measures we've incorporated reflect that compromise and generally respond to the primary concern of privacy. A few things, as far as traffic, we're under the threshold for doing a traffic impact study, but we are making improvements along Pine and Adkins. And then we are going to be removing the main access, egress points onto Pine, really making that a safer arterial road with less direct access onto it. As far as sun exposure, I'm not a meteorologist or a specialist in this, but when you have smaller footprints, and the 2 stories would have a smaller footprint than a single story, I think that that would provide greater separation, larger backyards, greater depth in between the buildings. My engineer's here. We might have to bring him up if we have some more technical questions that I can't answer. But the grading, he said there's a 2% grade difference. But our intent, of course, isn't to grade the site super high and bring fill in so the buildings are high. I think, and he can maybe speak on it a little bit more, but that is not our intent. Our intent is to minimize the amount of fill that's on the site and to keep everything as level as the site is currently. As far as parking, we are meeting the parking standards. We have a driveway, 2-car garages that meet the, as far as I'm concerned, I've been looking over at Nick, that meet the parking requirements for the zoning code. And he might want to elaborate on that a little bit more. And to mention, I am very empathetic and understanding of the neighbors. And yes, I did have a development built close to my house, but they were 3-story. I begged council for 2-story, which didn't happen. And so that's much more intrusive than a 2-story product. So to kind of reiterate our commitments that are before you this evening is that we did reduce the density and the number of lots by 5 on the perimeter of the site plan. We are in full agreement with limiting the 2-story homes to a maximum height of 28 feet, and that was a number that staff had provided, and we're happy to meet that. The windows, I feel like that is kind of a good compromise. Again, we're kind of like having to find ways to make things work, and that the windows and the rear elevations of the 2 stories abutting the existing homes to the north and west, we're happy to have that as a condition of approval. Again, planting 1 additional tree in each of the rear yards to provide enhanced long-term screening. I'd be happy if that needed to be added as a condition. And as we stated, restricting that to Lot 2, Block 1 to a single-story home as requested by Stephanie John at 1111 Atkins. We feel these measures represent a meaningful, good faith steps to ensure the project not only fits, but fits responsibly within the context of the neighborhood. And we truly feel that this is a net good for the overall community for the city of Meridian. I'm happy to stand for any questions. If there's anything I missed, if we need to have our engineer get up here, maybe discuss grading a little bit further, I'd be happy with that. So thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
There was a question of, are these going to be home ownership or rentals?
No, these are all going to be home ownership.
Okay.
Madam
And
Chair.
what type of price point? I understand that the ones in the middle are smaller footprint than the ones on the perimeter, but what kind of price point are you looking for these units?
Yes, I'm kind of looking, I think they're around the,
We're not going to make you hold to it, but just.
yes,
just
I
a
think they're
general-
around the 500, 600 range. And I could be mistaken, but Brandon, is that? Around the 5s, yes.
Commissioners, do we have questions for the applicant?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Smith?
I know there was some discussion about the kind of side profile of this northwest property. This is more, the one that backs up, both backs up to a property and is side backed up to an additional property. Is the intention to also have transom windows on that northern edge, which is the side of the home as well, or would that 2nd story have full windows?
I think, Madam Chair, let me get to the right slide. Here it is. Chairman Smith. I think we'd be happy to be conditioned on the window placement. And that is one of the larger lots. So I think the potential for it to be a single story, there's potential there as well. So I don't want to make any commitments, but I think of those are the few larger lots that can accommodate a single story. And would be happy to condition the extra window placement if needed.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Pearl?
So the neighbors have all referenced that they have received limited communication or no communication regarding the changes that you have proposed this evening. I realize that some of those changes were very recent and maybe there wasn't time. And then you had stated that staff had given the neighbors your contact information. So I assume you were just waiting for communication from the neighborhood. Did staff CC you on that communication to the neighbors?
No, Madam Chair, Commissioner Perot, no. And I know that this is just one step. We also have city council. And all the neighbors here are I'm more than happy to meet with them in between that time. Nick has my information that they can reach out. But I did communicate with Stephanie when we updated the layout. Originally, so Stephanie's the one that lives to the north, the 1111 Atkins. And we originally had the house situated so that took access off of Atkins instead of interior. And she's like, Sabrina, I don't like that. Can you move the house, rotate it so that it's all rear? And I said, absolutely. And so I sent her the update. I don't have the email, but I think it was before Thanksgiving. She's telling her that we've expanded the lot. We're committing to a single story at this location. So it was communicated. And I'm assuming she got it because she responded. So I'm happy to communicate as much as as much as the neighbors need. So
Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm not placing blame anywhere. I just wanted to see if we could get to the bottom of why some of the neighbors might not have received communication regarding this specific meeting. I know it's a challenging thing to help one of the neighbors and then maybe other neighbors come and say, hey, well, can you do the same for my property? So can you just for everyone's sake, can you kind of go through your process of consideration in terms of if we do single story, did you look at that? What was that process like for you in the decision making? Because I know in these situations, there's kind of a lot of assumptions made about the intentions involved with development. I want to understand all the things that you have done or considered doing to meet the neighbors' concerns.
Sure. Madam Chair, Commissioner Perot. So again, I kind of got brought in at the midpoint in October, and the applicant is here, and he can maybe speak upon all the changes, but the number of layouts, revisions, meetings has been exhausted. We have looked at multiple options, repositioning things, and we feel that this truly is the best layout. We looked at the footprints, and we're not saying that they're all going to be two-story, but it really is challenging for the lot size, for the square footage if we needed for 3-bedroom or units. And so I think that that's why they would want to keep the option of the 2-story, just in case that if they want to do something a little larger, have a little more square footage, that they're able to. And again, 2 stories are allowed within your zoning code. We're not asking for excessive amount, 3-story, 4-story. I mean, it's kind of 2 stories are a standard. So I do want to let you know that they have looked at this very extensively. And we feel like this is the best layout and for lot sizes that we have. And again, they've reduced their lot count by 5. And I believe prior to submitting, they lost several lots there too. So they have made some big changes. And again, I don't do the financials. I don't know what numbers they need. Obviously, it has to pencil and work. So I think that they're at that point where they can't make any more revisions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate your time.
May I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to close the public hearing on Farrington Heights subdivision. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I guess I can start on this one. I appreciate that the developer has made some changes to this to be able to accommodate this space. It's always hard to do infill. Like we've already talked about this. For 30 years, everybody's used to having some open space, but that open space, that farmland, does not belong to the neighborhood. It belongs to the homeowner, and that homeowner has a right to be able to sell their home or parts of their land, and a developer has the right to be able to build. The transom windows, the additional trees are all very generous options to be able to add to the privacy within this subdivision. But I don't feel that the modern look compared to the existing houses, it fits. It's like taking an old Victorian house and, putting something something super modern and glassy right next to it. It doesn't fit the aesthetic to the neighborhood, in my opinion, but I'm not buying there either, and maybe somebody else would like it. I sympathize with the homeowners from the 1-story to 2-story, and I would encourage the developer to find a way to make the 1-stories work. I'm not in favor of this for that very reason. I cannot ignore the people who have come forward today, not only today, but probably to city council before and are back, again, that it is going to get developed. So something is going to get there. So be careful what you wish for, because they may change it again and it might get worse. Everything the developer has suggested is within our code. They can put 2 stories. They can make the streets. The density is allowed. All of those things are on paper and are able to do that. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, I appreciate all the changes that the developer has made to do this. But for this particular parcel of land within this established community, even though the density is similar to the neighborhoods around it, I don't feel like I can support this at this time.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Smith.
I kind of empathize with a lot of your thinking. I do think I could fall on the opposite side if a couple things happen. I don't know that we're talking about respectable compromise, and I don't think that the community, what I'm envisioning, I don't think the community would necessarily be overjoyed at, and I don't think the developer would be overjoyed at. I think that's what compromise looks like. I think I'm at a position where I don't think we're personally, if it meets the design standards, I don't personally think that I'm in a position to judge the aesthetics of a home, for example. I've always kind of been irked a little bit about character kind of considerations and things like that are inherently subjective. And so I'm going to avoid that. I think a lot of the conditions that the applicant has suggested tonight of, block 2, block 1, being a condition to be single story, limiting the windows to be transom windows, planting additional trees, et cetera, I think are all valuable. I think the only thing that is pulling me back is the potential for a series of 2-story buildings. I would have no problem if there were a 2-story and then a single story, two 2-stories and a single story, and some variance to allow for some additional kind of feeling of openness on these neighboring properties. So the 2 areas that I'm specifically looking at are these 2, if we could pull up a map, I'm looking at my own screen of the plat map. I don't know what actual lots they are, but the kind of on the western half or the western portion, these 4 northernmost lots. And I think conditioning, something like conditioning that northwest lot and I guess if that's number 1 and I'm counting southward, that first lot and the lot 3, where there's these 2 houses that each have 2 homes next to them. Those are the 2 that I'm really like, if we can get these to ensure that there's 1 story here, I think that could put me over the edge.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm not I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of, is it 4 or 3? I just think that this kind of section of there being 4 homes against 2 and the potential for them all being 2 stories, that's what really kind of gets me a little bit just on the other side of maybe not loving this. So, I mean, I'd love to hear, again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. I know I've already kind of maybe dipped my toes there, but I'd love to hear from other commissioners of maybe recommending something like that, giving the applicant an opportunity to, you know, maybe they lose one more lot. I don't know if that's feasible, or they play with the lot sizes or things like that. But just ensuring that there's ensuring some breakup in that story, I think would be beneficial.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Rest.
I'm not an architect, and I don't want to pretend to be one either. I commiserate with Commissioner Smith. I'm a little bit torn on this one. I do appreciate the lengths to which the developer has gone to provide us elevations, and I feel like this presentation was one of the best we've had, particularly for a controversial infill project. There's very few questions from the commission. I really appreciate that. I have the plat pulled up here in front of me. I'd quite frankly, like my druthers, I'd rather see no open space, bigger lots, and height restrictions. But that's, you know, I'm sitting on this side where I just am judging what is brought before us.
Right.
I like the reduction in density. I appreciate the fact that we went from, I believe in the old proposal, there was 5 lots that abutted 1111 Adkins. And now we're at 3, and one of them is going to be a single family home that they're offering to make single story. And that directly matches the residence at 1111. So I do appreciate that. I think my biggest concern is probably that northwest lot. Having lived in neighborhoods where there was very minimal space between homes and there was 2 stories, I can commiserate with the lack of privacy. Having that on 2 sides, that's just not ideal. I also would point out, though, that there are 2-story dwellings in the subdivision. One of them right in the cul-de-sac directly to the west. So it's not something that's not been done before. It's in this area. There's going to be probably others that pop their tops and go up to gain more square footage. So again, if I could have my druthers, I'd probably just condition that northwest lot to be single story. It was already alluded that they might be willing to do that. That would probably be where I shake out. And my comments on the open space are probably more for future development. I'd rather see open space in these smaller sub 5 acre parcels go more into lot sizes than I would into these small cutout parks that are going to be a cost to the HOA, probably not going to be utilized. And you know, they check boxes and they score amenity points, but it's not really necessary and not driving the value that maybe we think they do. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Commissioner Pro is going to go, but I guess I'll go. I recall the last hearing we had on when we denied it, and several of the issues that we identified have been addressed, or there's a valiant effort to address them. I'm still bothered by the conflict amongst the existing neighborhood versus this development, particularly regarding the 2 stories. I understand that it's allowed to have 2 stories versus mandating that there's a 1 story. But I also saw the value of discussion between existing homeowners and some reasonableness by the developer to adjust the plans to try to address the concerns. What I would like to see is that same discussion occur with the other property owners that are abutting the proposed lots to see if there's some sort of compromise that can be had that will at least get us towards some sort of harmony amongst the existing residents and the new residents that are going to be buying those properties. So I'm not sure what the formal recommendation is on this, whether it's just a continuance to allow for a discussion amongst the existing neighborhood and the developer, if that's allowable or not.
Are you suggesting a continuance?
I want to check whether that's something that's allowable.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Commissioner Stoll, obviously you have to reopen the public hearing, but yeah, that if there are questions or issues you think you need additional information as to make your decision and you would like to see, additional dialogue or additional information that comes between discussions between the developer and the neighbors that testified or others that weren't able to be here tonight, I think that's fine. It should be, not just to continue the debate, but to get some concrete information. So I think it's, the purpose of the continuance would be to get information you need to make a decision as to a recommendation to the city council. So I think I'd encourage you to be as specific as possible. We're going to continue it for X number of weeks, and we're looking for, in particular, more information about X, Y, and Z.
Okay. Thanks. Kurt.
The, Sabrina did say that the developer had made as many changes as they were probably going to make. We can reopen that and address it. I don't think that continuing it is going to really make any changes, but I'll entertain that with the other commissioners if you think it might be worthwhile.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Perot.
I agree on the continuance. I think the developer's probably done kind of the most changes that they're going to be willing to. I have a question for staff. While I'm sharing my thoughts, is it possible to look at the plat more closely and identify which lots have more than, say, 4,500 square feet, 4,500, 5,000 square feet? We can discuss limiting the stories on the lots that could accommodate that. And then see if we can potentially address some of those concerns of the two neighboring lots there on the west side that have two backyards butting up against them. I wanted to say a couple of things very quickly to the audience. It's always a desire of mine to make sure that that our residents understand what our role is in this process more specifically. So we realize that most of you have never come to anything like this, probably never even crossed your mind. And there's a belief perhaps that the city has more control over specific decisions in this process than we do. So this property is already annexed into the city of Meridian. So if a property is not annexed, the city decision makers have a lot more leeway in requirements that they can make on the applicant. But that's not the case here. And so what we primarily have to look at is the applicant meeting the current Uniform Development Code and the comprehensive plan and those things like that. And so our decisions that come into play really don't have to do with our personal preferences. I can completely relate because I have a two-story home right in my very small backyard. At first I was concerned about the privacy, but I've just adjusted. And that doesn't mean I don't understand where everyone is coming from. But it's something that all over the city of Meridian, we have two-story homes up against single-story homes. So that can be a factor in our decision making. But it also isn't something that we just have to be careful if we're denying it only for that reason, because the applicant would have the ability to do that. However, we're gonna take the whole big picture, but we just have a real specific balance that we have to strike as to why we approve or deny a property, not just based on kind of fears or preferences on our part. And that doesn't mean we're not taking all of your concerns into account. I just want to set the tone for what this decision process is like for the commission. So that being said, I agree with a couple of my fellow commissioners regarding the possibility of limiting the homes to single story if the lots will accommodate. I realize we can't make that decision for the developer and say, hey, 4,500 square feet is enough to do a single story for that builder, but we could ask, I suppose, we could open up the public hearing yet again and ask. Did you happen to find that information?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Perot, yes. So there's really only two lots. It's going to be lot 2, block 1, and lot 7, block 1. They're roughly about 4,700 square feet, both of them. So the rest of them on the outskirts of the property are 3,500 square feet to 4,000 square feet. So none of them are in that 4,500 above that besides lot 2 and lot 7 of block 1.
Madam Chair, may I ask staff another question? Thank you. What are the depths of the 2 lots? I can't see on here what the lot numbers are, but what are the depths of the lots? One that's off the common drive and the one to the south of that, or yeah. Are those deep enough to do a single story that's long and skinny, essentially?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Pro. So the lot 7 on where it touches the common drive is 75 feet. And on the north boundary, it's 95 feet. And then lot 8 below it is the 75 feet. And on the south boundary of that lot, it's the 84 feet. A matter of single story versus 2-story. Could you build a single story here? Yes, definitely could. It's ultimately, they've indicated to us that that's 2 stories, their preference for financial reasons. We have seen single story homes on smaller lots that typically cater to older demographics. But at the end of the day, we're not here to design, or I'm not, when they come in with their application, to tell them what home to build on the lot as far as square footage, and it's 2-story, correct?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Smith?
I think kind of where I'm at, and I'm curious to hear the commissioner's thoughts, is I think these 2 properties that are kind of maybe the easier choices of conditioning to be 1-story. I mean, I think those seem like easy candidates. I'd like to maybe condition of saying 1 additional home on that western boundary. Let the developer figure out where it is, but ensuring that at least one of those is single story to, again, ensure some breakup. I'd like to see it about halfway down if I could, again, if I could wave my magic wand. But I think where I'm at is for single story is lot 2, block 1, this northern westmost parcel, and at least one other of these properties in the R15 zone on the western boundary. I'm curious if that seems like that might be amicable without getting too into the engineering what to build where, while still kind of ensuring some breakup. I'm curious to hear their thoughts.
Yeah, Madam Chair. I
Commissioner
don't,
Garrett?
in the time that I've been on the commission, I haven't seen an infill, be it commercial or residential, that hasn't been a problem. I mean, I don't know. It seems that everyone has an opinion on an infill, and good or bad. And I think the developer, I'm with Commissioner Rust. I'd like to see the open area cut down, because what's the point of that? I mean, it really doesn't solve anything, and give everybody a little bigger lot. And I think if they're meeting the height standards, I think it's okay. I mean, it's within the building codes, and it's in what's been approved. And I'm sorry, I know that there was a lot of concerns over 2-story versus 1-story, but in the sense that it's been undeveloped for this period of time, now's the time.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Smith?
I think it might just be time. I'll make a motion, and if it fails, no offense will be taken. I'll just look forward to the next best option.
Okay.
So after considering all staff, applicant, and public testimony, I move to recommend approval to the City Council of file number H-2025-0038 as presented in the staff report with the following modifications. To require that single-story homes be built, or that single-story usage be limited to lot 2, block 1, this northwesternmost lot, and then 1 additional lot on the western boundary of the R15 zone. Then an additional tree be planted in the backyard of each property in the R15 zone that is bordering an existing or that backs up to an existing property. And then to limit all 2nd-story windows on all properties which would board in the R15 zone, which would border neighbors' yards, to be transom windows only to protect privacy.
Need you to make one adjustment on that. The application is 0016.
I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry. That would be for H dash, wow, 2025
Dash
dash
00.
0016.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I have a second to Commissioner Smith?
One other clarification, I think it's important to note that this is R15 and R4 zoning.
Mhm.
I think it's your intention that it only apply to those, the R15 zone portion of the development and not the R4.
Correct. Those only apply to the second story limitations, the additional tree, et cetera, to the R15 zoning on the northern.
So can you summarize? one
I
more
can
time?
summarize, yeah. So for applying for the R15 zoning, I would move to approve with single story on lot 2, block 1, which is the one that backs up to 1111. This northern westmost lot, which is in that top left corner on the map, and then at least one additional lot on this western boundary of the R15 lot, to require the applicant plant an additional tree in the backyard of each of these bordering properties in R15, as they said they would be willing to do and accept a condition. And then similarly, as they said they would be willing to accept as a condition, to limit that all second story windows on any of these R15 bordering properties be limited to only be transom windows.
Do I have a second?
Yes, it fails.
It does not have a second, so the motion fails.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Rust,
I'll make a motion. I move that we approve Farrington Heights file number H 2025-0016 with the following conditions: that we restrict lots 1 and 7, I believe, to single story, and the additional tree and the transom windows in the R15, all for the R15 portion.
I'll second that.
Block.
it's been moved and second to approve Farrington Heights subdivision. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those,
Aye.
those not in favor?
Nay.
Hey,
Nay. Are we tied again?
We're tied again. You rock, paper, scissors. Sorry. Fails then, yeah. Sure.
Yes, the motion fails, so 3-3 does not a majority, so that motion fails as well. You can entertain a new motion. Or as we had to do recently for a different application, you could reopen the public hearing, continue until you have a tie-breaking vote.
Madam Chair, if I can just throw out some thoughts.
Commissioner Stoll,
I really liked Commissioner Rust's thoughts as far as whether allowing the developer to explore what they could do with the lot size and whether they could financially make it work out to single story without the green space that's being required in the infill development.
so with that in mind, why don't we reopen the public hearing so that we can approach the developer for a continuance to work on that open space? Can I get a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to reopen the public hearing to approach the developer about continuance of adjusting the plat. Will you come up to the microphones, please?
Do we need to vote?
Oh, do we not vote? It's been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Sorry, I'm all flustered. We don't have ties very often.
No problem.
Okay, thank you for
yes.
being amenable and your patience.
Yes.
So as a commission, we are a little bit torn on
See that.
the application. And it has been suggested that the open space may be potentially adjusted to offer more lot sizes and to really hone in on the potential of single stories with respect to the existing neighborhood. Is that something you would consider?
Madam Chair, I think we didn't even know that was an option since the last time we were directed to bring more open space. So we would be happy to go back, reevaluate, taking that open space out and making those lots larger, if that's the direction of all of the commissioners. Yes, yes.
Okay, so with that in mind,
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Pearl,
So I want to ask a clarifying question. Are we just referring to the lots that are on the perimeter of the development and not the lots internally? Because there's no open space in that section. So, or are we talking about a revamp of the entire design?
well, I mean, because it's under 5 acres, open space is not officially required, correct, Nick?
Madam Chair, that is correct. Under 5 acres, open space and amenities are not required by code. That is correct.
So should we give the leeway to the developer to look at the entire plat, or you just interested in just the perimeter?
Madam Chair, that was my question to the commissioners is, do we need to give them direction or share our thoughts on that? I assume, I would prefer that they have the option, obviously, to completely redesign it if they'd like. I just wanted to give clarification to them on what it is we're requesting of them.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner
If I
Smith?
may, also to maybe throw another wrinkle in here, I don't know that I would personally be comfortable if we remove the open space without reworking that interior buffer, because there, again, there's no real significant open space for those lots. So I would almost, for my personal support, I would kind of require the whole thing to be reworked if we're removing that open space.
I think we leave it to the discretion of the developer to be able to present something that, you know, that works for them. Commissioner Rust?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think what we've heard from the community is that they're open to development. They understand that this is going to be developed.
Right.
And the consistent item that I've heard is we don't want 2 stories.
Right.
So I would theoretically be in favor of even increasing density by a couple of lots if it meant that we could only get single story, if they would go to single story. I think that could be an effective compromise. But I think we're seeing the problem with trying to legislate from here, what exactly can and can't happen.
Right,
So I'm just trying to give my perspective. I would love to not really fetter them in any way and give you as the developer a chance to go back to the drawing board, look at it again, know that the community really doesn't want 2 stories, and see what you come back with, knowing the business case that you have to make and the pro formas you have to hit.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows it's going to be developed, so that's a given. The density that you were suggesting, whether it was the 30 homes or the 25 homes, fits into the neighboring communities around it. Like Commissioner Russ said, I think the overall is that there's been because the majority of them are single story homes, that it's intrusive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Commissioner
I
Garrett.
think, yeah, the need for this open space is, I just don't see it in that small an area.
Right.
And if they can increase the lot size and increase the density, that's a win-win. So I think that, but that's between the developer and whomever.
Right.
That's certainly not our purview to dictate that.
And I think initially that had been a comment that staff had made, because there's no regional park in this
Right.
area. So if it is catering to small families, now you don't have a space for them to go that within their community. But legally, or based on our code, you don't have to either. So, but if they have bigger backyards, like one of the residents said, then maybe that open space isn't as necessary. Understanding today is December 4th. What timeline do you think you would need to? We will not have a meeting on January 1st.
Okay.
So our next meeting is the 18th. And the 16th, no, that's city council. So Thursday, the 18th is our next planning and zoning meeting. We won't have one the 1st. That's the first Thursday of January. Madam Clerk, what is the next date in January? Is that the
Madam Chair, it's January 15th.
15th? So with that in mind, knowing that you have December 18th or January 15th, do you have a preference, or do you need more time?
I think the sooner one would be fine. Absolutely. Just real quick, just for clarification, so that we don't have to table it again in the near again. But can the roads be reworked? Are you guys wanting the roads in the same position? It's free. We are free to make any changes. Bill, Nick.
Madam Chair.
Nick's having heartburn right now.
I know. I
Madam
think
Chair,
Nick's.
members of the commission, 18th, 2 weeks out from today, So we'll be sitting here today in 2 weeks. I know we already have 3 things on the agenda. Some of them are pretty large projects. And I want to be sensitive to the applicant. But if they get me revised drawings, a few days before, which probably is realistic because you got next week. They're probably gonna be working hard all next week, over the weekend, and I might get it the week of the hearing. Yeah, it's pretty tough, on staff's end. If that's your guys' purview, we'll make it happen. But I think January 15th is definitely preferred. It gives us time, and if we need to do a special meeting in January, I know there's been conversations at the staff. I'd be more than happy to. January 8th could even be a date where if we need to do it, I would be happy to be there on that day as well. So, and I'd like to hear from the applicant too on what they think on that. And,
No, and we want to be sensitive to like your schedule and if you already have a full, but obviously we've been working and delayed and we were August and now it's December. So obviously sooner the better. But we do, I mean, if you did have a special hearing, that would give us a little more extra time. Because I really want the next time we're in front of you guys to be like, this is what we want. So.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Smith?
I think part of the conversation was, well, maybe not the applicant's fault or shortfall there. There maybe was some opportunity for more engagement with the community. So I think that later date would give some extra time for, not saying that we're going to reach agreement on everything, but seeing if we can fine tune some stuff to get the community's approval.
Commissioner Stoll?
Madam Chair, yeah, I'd like to see some meaningful dialogue with the community, the existing neighborhood. That'll make me feel much more at ease than saw the benefit of having the discussion with the one homeowner. The other thing is, I'm not sure you're going to have quorum if
On the
you're not
8th either,
January 8th.
right?
So I think January 15th is probably your best. I think that's the big, that's probably your best bet to allow everybody a reasonable amount of time. I know it's frustrating from a developer standpoint, but
We want you to succeed.
Yeah,
So-
no, and I
and if
appreciate
it's- and
that.
if it's rushed again, then we're going to be right back where we are
Sure.
at the same point in time. So, so we would need to motion to close the public hearing and then motion for the 15th. Is that where we're at? Or just continue? Where am I at, Kurt?
Keep the hearing open and you would ask for a motion to continue the hearing until January 15th.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Stoll?
I move that we continue the public hearing for file number H-2025-0016 Farrington Heights until January 15th for the reasons to allow the developer to look at a revised plan to bring back to the commission and to have meaningful dialogue with the surrounding landowners to see if there's the opportunity to bring some sort of harmony and agreement, a compromise on the proposal that will be presented to us.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to continue Farrington Heights. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Yes, we will take a 5-minute break and then we'll have our next application. All right, the next item on the agenda is item H 2025-0038. 3780 Overland Road for annexation of 0.91 parcel of land. And we will begin with the staff report.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, next item on the agenda is the annexation for 3780 East Overland Road. So as shown on the screen, the existing zoning is R1 in Ada County, and the flume designation is mixed use regional. This applicant actually has a hookup agreement with the city. Their well was failing. They're in the county. and they needed to hook up to city water and sewer as an emergency hookup. And as a provision of that, they needed to annex into the city. So as a result of this, R2 zoning obviously would not be the appropriate zone in a mixed-use regional. However, we are going to give them the R2 zone as a placeholder zoning until that property does redevelop. So, really, we haven't received any written testimony on this one. They do run a home occupation business. It's actually an alteration business out of it right now. And one of my DA provisions is that they acquire a home occupation as an accessory use permit here with the city or cease the home occupation if it doesn't meet our standards. And they are aware of that. I haven't received any written testimony, as I mentioned, and we're recommending approval with that development agreement. So essentially the property will be R2 and they'll have to come in with a development agreement modification at the time that it does redevelop. And it will likely be with some of the neighboring properties at the time of redevelopment. So this is more of annexing them so they can emergency hookup into city services.
So I don't see anybody in chamber, so I take it there's no particular applicant here. You're going to plead their case.
Madam Chair, the applicant, he did indicate he would be online. It sounds like he probably was online. He might have tuned off over the last public hearing. I don't think he would have much to say. They're just looking for an approval. They already have the hookup in progress to get hooked up to city water because that well was failing. So, yes, hopefully they'll be here at the council hearing.
Right. Again, I think this is the first where we haven't had an applicant in chambers. So we close the public hearing since there's no one here to speak.
So Madam Chair, that's obviously if the applicant's not here to speak, that's fine. I think we'll have the same answer, but I guess for the record, I guess you'd invite the public I'm not sure anybody on Zoom or not, probably not, but
No.
if there's anybody in the public who'd like to testify, that'd be a fair game as well. And absent that, you can entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
All right,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Perot.
I have a question for staff.
Sure.
I thought I read in the staff report that there was a recommendation that the applicant put together a concept plan. And so I'm hoping that's not the case because that would seem a bit excessive to me considering it's going to redevelop all in much larger swath.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Pro, I need to go back and reread it. I apologize if I read it or wrote it incorrectly, but no, at the time of redevelopment is when we'll receive that concept plan. So I apologize if that was unclear in the staff report.
All right, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to close the public hearing on 3780 East Overland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we have any conversation? Possibly a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Rust?
after hearing all public testimony, I recommend that we approve file number H-2025-0038 for approval as set forth in the staff report.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve 3780 East Overland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I will take one more motion.
Madam Chair,
Oh, we get stereo. Commissioner Smith.
Move to adjourn.
second.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. A little housekeeping. So the 16th is a Tuesday. We have a 4:30